Most people think plumbing problems begin when water refuses to leave. A blocked sink, a slow shower drain, a toilet that gurgles at night, but older plumbers understood something quieter and more unsettling. Sometimes the real danger was not the water going down, but the air coming back up. Long before scented drain gels, automatic fresheners, chemical cleaners, and expensive gadgets, the simplest defense against a foul house was not a machine. It was a pocket of water trapped inside a bend of pipe, standing guard like an invisible door. That sounds almost too simple. A little water sitting in a curve, nothing moving, nothing powered, nothing modern. Yet this small hidden pool is one of the reasons a home can have drains connected to waste pipes without smelling like what those pipes carry. It is one of the least noticed pieces of household engineering, and when it fails, people often attack the wrong problem. They scrub the sink. They pour perfume into the drain. They blame the toilet. They buy stronger chemicals. But the old secret was never about making the smell sweeter. It was about stopping the smell from entering in the first place. Today, when a bathroom smells strange, most people reach for a bottle. A bleach-based cleaner, a foaming drain treatment, a plug-in fragrance. Maybe they call it damp smell, drain smell, or bathroom odor, but the response is usually the same. Cover it, dissolve it, spray it, or flush it away. Modern homes are full of products that promise freshness, yet many of them do not touch the real cause. If sewer gas is slipping past a dry drain, a broken seal, or a poorly vented pipe, no amount of perfume changes the physics. You are not fighting dirt anymore. You are fighting pressure, evaporation, and an open path from the waste system into the room. Older households did not have the luxury of hiding every smell behind chemicals. In many traditional homes, people had to understand what water, air, slope, and gravity were doing because there was no backup plan waiting on a store shelf. Plumbing was not only a convenience, it was a boundary. Clean water had to stay clean. Waste had to leave. Bad air had to be kept out. And in that struggle, one of the most important discoveries was that water could act like a door without hinges, a seal without rubber, and a lock without metal. The forgotten method was the water trap. In its most familiar modern form, it is the curved pipe beneath a sink, often shaped like a P or a U. Under a floor drain, shower drain, or basin, the same idea appears in different shapes. The pipe bends downward and then rises again, leaving a small amount of water sitting in the lowest curve. Wastewater can pass through it because the flow pushes forward. But air from the sewer side cannot easily come back because the standing water blocks the passage. It is so common that most people stop seeing it, yet it is one of the oldest principles in practical plumbing. Use water itself to stop the air that follows waste. The strange part is that the trap does not look like protection. It looks like wasted space. A bend where a straight pipe would seem easier. A place where hair collects. A piece people remove when cleaning under the sink and then forget to respect. But that bend is doing more than carrying water. It is maintaining separation between the living space and the drain system. Without it, every sink and floor drain would be a small open doorway to the pipe network below the house. And that pipe network is not empty. It carries moisture, organic residue, gases from decomposition, and changing air pressure as water moves through the system. This is where the old method becomes more interesting. A water trap works because gases move through open spaces, but they do not pass through a water barrier the same way air passes through an empty pipe. The standing water creates a seal. When wastewater runs, it flows through the bend and replaces the water in the trap. When the flow stops, a new pocket of water remains behind. The trap resets itself quietly every time the fixture is used. No battery, no sensor, no cartridge. Just gravity leaving behind exactly enough water to close the path. But here's the part most people miss. The trap only protects the house while the water is still there. If a sink, shower, or floor drain is not used for weeks, the water can slowly evaporate. In a hot room, a dry climate, or a drain exposed to airflow, that seal can disappear faster than people expect. Once the trap dries out, the pipe is no longer sealed. The smell may seem sudden, but the failure was slow. The invisible door did not break. It simply dried away. That is why old practical plumbing wisdom often included a habit that sounds almost laughably simple today. Keep unused drains wet. In laundry rooms, guest bathrooms, basement drains, outdoor utility sinks, and rarely used showers, people would occasionally pour water down the drain just to renew the trap seal. They were not cleaning the pipe. They were restoring the water door. Modern people often wait until there is a smell before doing this, but older thinking was preventative. A drain that is not used still needs attention because its protection depends on a small amount of water staying in place. The science is not complicated, but it is easy to ignore because it is hidden under floors and behind walls. Inside a plumbing system, water rushing down a pipe can push air ahead of it and pull air behind it. That movement changes pressure. If the system is properly vented, outside air enters through vent pipes and balances those pressure changes. But if venting is poor, blocked, or overwhelmed, a strong flow of water can siphon water out of a nearby trap. This is why a drain may gurgle after a toilet flush, or why a sink may smell even though it is used regularly. The trap may not be dry from evaporation. It may be losing its seal because pressure is stealing the water. Older plumbers learned by observation that plumbing was not only about pipes sloping downward, it was about giving air somewhere to go. Water cannot move smoothly through a closed system unless air can replace it. Think of turning a full bottle upside down. The liquid glugs because air is fighting to enter while water is trying to leave. Plumbing systems have the same struggle on a larger scale. The vent pipe is what allows the system to breathe. Without that breathing path, water movement can tug at traps, disturb seals, and send strange sounds through the house. This is why the forgotten lesson of the water trap is not just there is a bend under the sink. The deeper lesson is that good plumbing depends on separation and balance. The trap separates living air from drain air. The vent balances pressure so the trap can keep doing its job. The slope of the pipe moves water away without leaving too much residue behind. If one part fails, the others suffer. Modern people often see plumbing as a set of isolated fixtures, but older practical knowledge saw it as a connected system of water, air, gravity, and time. In many older homes, the most skilled repair was not always the biggest repair. It was noticing clues. A drain that smelled only after a long dry period pointed toward evaporation. A drain that gurgled when another fixture emptied pointed toward pressure or venting. A sink that smelled even after cleaning might have a trap problem, a leak, or a buildup inside the pipe. A floor drain in a basement that smelled during hot weather might simply have lost its water seal. These were not mystical signs. They were the house speaking through physics. The water trap also reveals something about how old solutions were often designed to be passive. Passive engineering means the design works without requiring constant energy or attention. A thick wall moderates heat. A shaded courtyard moves air. A sloped roof sheds rain. A root cellar uses stable ground temperature. And a water trap uses gravity and standing water to block sewer gases. Modern life often replaces passive principles with active products. When a room smells bad, we add scent. When moisture rises, we add a machine. When heat builds, we add cooling. Sometimes that is necessary. But sometimes the first question should be older and simpler. What natural barrier or movement has failed? This method did not disappear because it stopped working. In fact, the water trap is still part of modern plumbing. What disappeared was ordinary understanding. The part that faded was not the pipe itself, but the household knowledge around it. People stopped being taught why that curve matters. They stopped recognizing that a dry drain can smell even when nothing is dirty. They stopped connecting gurgling sounds with air pressure. Plumbing became something hidden behind walls, handled by professionals, noticed only when it fails. Convenience did not remove the method. It removed the memory of the method. There is another reason the lesson got buried. Modern cleaning products are easier to sell than plumbing principles. A bottle can promise freshness on a label. A fragrance can make a room feel fixed for an hour. A foam can make people feel like action has been taken. But a trap seal is not dramatic. It does not smell like citrus. It does not fizz. It does not create a satisfying cloud in the drain. It just sits there, silent and plain. And when a solution is too simple to brand as a monthly miracle, it rarely gets the loudest attention. The practical lesson for today is safe, simple, and useful. Start by respecting every drain as a possible doorway. If a drain is rarely used, especially in a guest bathroom, basement, laundry area, garage sink, or floor drain, refresh it with clean water from time to time. You are not trying to flood it. You are simply replacing the water that may have evaporated from the trap. If the smell fades after the water seal is restored, that tells you something important. The issue may not have been dirt on the surface, but an open path through a dry trap. For drains that dry out repeatedly, the lesson is to look at the conditions around them. Heat, airflow, long periods of disuse, and low humidity can all speed evaporation. A floor drain in a utility room may lose water faster than a bathroom sink used every day. A shower in a guest room may sit forgotten for months. A sink in an unused outbuilding may dry out between seasons. The old method works only when its simple requirement is met. The water barrier has to remain in place. A trap without water is only a bend. But there is a mistake people make when trying to copy old wisdom today. They assume every bad drain smell can be fixed by pouring water down the pipe. Sometimes it can, sometimes it cannot. If the trap is cracked, installed incorrectly, missing, leaking, or being siphoned by pressure problems, water alone may not solve it. If gurgling happens often, if multiple drains smell at once, if sewage backs up, if there is visible leakage, or if odors are strong and persistent, that is not a home experiment. That is a sign to call a qualified plumber. The old lesson is not to avoid professionals. It is to understand enough to know what kind of problem you may be seeing. There are also safety limits. Sewer gases can be unpleasant and, in some situations, potentially harmful or flammable depending on concentration and conditions. A normal household odor should still be treated seriously if it persists. Do not open walls, alter vent pipes, remove traps permanently, or attempt major plumbing changes without proper knowledge. Do not mix drain chemicals, especially different cleaners, because dangerous fumes can result. And do not assume a fragrance product has solved a plumbing issue just because the room smells better. Covering the signal is not the same as fixing the path. For a simple household check, the safest approach is observation. Notice which drain smells. Notice when it happens. Is it after weeks of disuse? After a toilet flush? During hot weather? After heavy rain? Does the drain gurgle? Does water disappear from the trap? Does the odor return quickly after adding water? These clues matter because they separate a dry trap from a clogged drain, a venting issue, a damaged pipe, or a sewer line problem. Older practical knowledge was often built on this kind of patient noticing. The house gave signs, and people learned to read them. The water trap also teaches a broader plumbing truth that modern homes still depend on. Drainage is not just about removing waste quickly. It is about controlling what remains behind. Too little slope, and solids can settle. Too much disturbance and pressure, and trap seals can be pulled away. Too much neglect, and water evaporates. Too much chemical use, and pipes or seals may be stressed depending on materials and products. The best plumbing is not the most aggressive plumbing. It is balanced plumbing, where water moves, air breathes, and barriers remain intact. In older houses, you can sometimes see how much of this knowledge was physical and visible. Pipes were not always hidden as deeply. Basins, drains, and waste lines were easier to inspect. People knew the sound of their homes because they had to. A strange gurgle was not background noise. A dry floor drain was not invisible. A bad smell was not automatically treated as a cleaning failure. It was a clue that the boundary between clean space and waste space had weakened. Modern homes have gained enormous benefits from improved plumbing, sanitation, materials, and building codes. That should not be forgotten. The answer is not to romanticize the past or pretend old systems were perfect. Many older plumbing arrangements were unhealthy, incomplete, or unsafe by modern standards. But inside that imperfect history were principles that still matter. Water seals matter. Venting matters. Gravity matters. Maintenance matters. The old wisdom was not magic, it was attention. This is why the forgotten plumbing trick is powerful. Not because it replaces modern plumbing, but because it explains it. A simple water-filled bend shows how a home protects itself with a principle so quiet that people only notice it when it fails. It is the same kind of forgotten knowledge that appears again and again in old practical methods. Do not only treat the symptom you can see, find the movement underneath, find the path, find the missing barrier. So the next time a bathroom smells wrong, do not begin with panic or perfume. Think like an older builder for a moment. Ask whether the drain has been used. Ask whether the trap still holds water. Listen for gurgling. Look for patterns. Know when the fix is as simple as restoring a water seal, and know when the signs point to something that needs a professional. That small pause can save wasted money, wasted chemicals, and the strange frustration of fighting a problem that was never on the surface. A pocket of water under a sink does not look like ancient wisdom. It looks ordinary, almost boring, but that is the nature of the best forgotten methods. They are not always dramatic. They do not need to shout. They work because they respect the laws that were there before electricity, before plastic bottles, before scented chemicals, and before every home problem became a product category. The secret was not hidden in a vault. It was hidden in the curve of a pipe, doing its job quietly every day. Older knowledge was practical, not perfect. Modern tools are valuable, and serious plumbing problems deserve skilled hands. But when we understand the principle behind the tools, we become less helpless in our own homes. We stop seeing every smell as a mystery and every problem as a purchase. We begin to notice the small systems keeping daily life clean, safe, and livable. And sometimes, the forgotten solution is nothing more than water, gravity, and a bend placed exactly where it needs to be. If this kind of forgotten practical knowledge matters to you, subscribe to Forbidden Vaults. Because the next vault opens another simple method modern life almost made us forget.